Hello, welcome to Sunnyside Nursery. This is Margot.
Hi, and this is Frank.
Hello.
We were both CPHs.
Both senile.
Hope not. I've been here almost 7 years. You've been here for a while.
Years.
6 years, yeah. And we're going to talk about Pacific Northwest vines today. We have just a few of our favorites to show you and talk a little bit about. So we can get started with one of our favorites. These are clematis, which I say clematis. How do you say it, Frank?
I say clematis, if
Okay.
that's all right.
Okay, that's fine. Potato. The answer to the question, how do you say this or how do you pronounce this, is always with authority. So you can say it any way you want.
That's right.
So-
I'm just proud of my customers if they'll try it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is a Clematis montana. This is one of my favorites. Clematis is a really large group of both evergreen and deciduous vines. They come in pretty much every size, from little tiny around 5 feet to they can get close to 25, 30 feet for some of the varieties. So everything from covering a little trellis to hiding something large that you would rather not see all of. Clematis montana Rubens is one of the larger ones. It can get up to 25 or 30 feet. It's one of my favorites. It's covered with pink flowers in the early spring. And I think they smell like baby powder and vanilla. So that's one of my favorites.
Mine is too far up in the tree to even smell any of this.
Here's one of the smaller ones. This is Vancouver Sea Breeze. Clematis are divided into 3 basic groups depending on their bloom time, and that's going to dictate when and how you prune them. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of that today, but if you get confused, because sometimes the pruning groups can get a little bit confusing, you just want to focus on when they bloom. Some of them will bloom on new wood, some of them will bloom on old wood, and some of them bloom on both new and old wood.
And they will always recover, no matter how you prune them.
Yep. So this is a beautiful one and gets to about 6 to 8 feet. These are both, okay, thank you. Clematis alpina. These are 2 different varieties. This one has bright gold foliage and blue flowers. They kind of hang down like this. I think they're really sweet. This one is called Willie. This one is called Stolwicks, I believe, gold.
Stolwick gold.
Is that close? Close. Yeah. And those are really beautiful. Those are probably in the, what does it say? 6 to 8 feet. Yeah.
This is honeysuckle. This is a whole huge group of vining lonicerae. They're fragrant and deciduous.
This one's called Gold Flame.
Gold Flame, and we have many different varieties here. Also, they do need a little care. Trim them back in the springs.
These also, the clematis also like to be in the sun. They like to have their heads in the sun, but they like to have their roots in the shade. So if you can plant something in front of them, or a ground cover or something that's going to shade their roots and keep them cool, that's their favorite. Okay, and then we're on to some of the larger, more robust vines. If you really want to get into the large, dramatic vines,
This will take over Manhattan if you let it, but most people don't let it do that. This is wisteria. Wisteria can grow, this one is a smaller wisteria. Wisteria grow about 12, 15 feet. Pruning takes place in July and again in the winter. So July you cut, watch for these, see if I can find one here.
here.
Watch for these wild, long rope-like pieces of growth. Those get cut back to about 5 compound leaves. And then when you get to winter, you cut it back one more time down to about 2. At that point, they'll be flower buds. And that's how you keep it blooming. It is a heavy plant. It grows vigorously, and it needs strong support. Not the eaves of the house.
Not your downspout.
Not the downspout. This needs to be on, Lincoln logs or something. I mean,
Something,
just huge.
something
thing.
large,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
Real
so-
nice, large, sturdy structure.
Worthy plant, absolutely, one of the best. Another monster, this is Akebia. Akebia gets big. Akebia
Yeah.
grows fast. It makes this one makes a white flower and a fruit that is edible if you're ambitious about how you process it. I think we've broken them open and just sort of nibbled at the insides. They're very sweet.
You never did it again, did you?
No, not
Yeah.
really. It's too much work. Big plant, and this can be cut back hard. It's deciduous, and it is very willing to grow. Did I mention that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And the flowers are kind of, they're not really big and showy, but they're really interesting, really, really fun. They have kind of a little folded up bud, and then as they open, they have this little 3-part flower that's really fun.
And then they open up, or they grow out to about a 2-inch piece of fruit that is kind of unusual for Northwest fruit eating.
And it likes to be in the sun as well. It'll keep most of its leaves, or it'll keep some of its leaves rather, in a mild winter. If it's a pretty good cold winter, it's going to lose most of its leaves, but it leaves out really quickly. This is another clematis. This is our evergreen. This is Clematis armandii, an early bloomer. It gets fairly large. It's maybe 25 feet when it finally gets to be mature. Lots of sprays of beautiful white flowers, like I said, in the early spring. And it prefers shade. It will do some morning sun or some filtered light, but it doesn't really want to be in hot afternoon, direct summer sun. It'll be very grumpy. So
I've heard one technique for pruning this guy, and that was to grow it up a trellis and then let it grow back down, and then every summer after blooming it gets cut back to the top of the trellis. That way you always have foliage aged 1 year or less to host flowers, and it always looks fresh and green that way. So that's evergreen clematis. You can introduce this. This is a favorite of mine.
This is a climbing hydrangea. We love this plant. It's also really large. It has beautiful variegated foliage. It's called Miranda. But then, of course, there's the plain green variety. It has little, I think they're actually aerial roots that are clinging, but it will basically affix itself to any fence or
House
wall, anything that you let it climb up. It'll find its way up. It doesn't twine, it just clings as it grows.
I have one of these doing very well in deep shade on a tall stump that's 6 feet. Miranda has just crawled right up it. I don't care if she drops her leaves in the winter because the trunks have an exfoliating action that is really attractive.
Yeah, it's
So-
actually very pretty in the winter, the tracery that it makes.
I think-
Mine's on a fence, and it's covering the fence, and it's really pretty in the winter. We have a really huge one here behind us that's been growing on this fence for a long time, and it's clear up in the arbor. So this is a pretty old one, and there's that beautiful bark that Frank was mentioning.
And this makes about a 10-inch lace cap form of a flower. You can just barely see the new one starting to come out inside on that. And it is going to be glorious when it blooms. So that's hydrangea anomala petiolaris.
And we hope that gave you a brief introduction of some of the vines that we have at Sunnyside. We always have more. This is the beginning of the season, so we will have other vines as well, but these are a few of our favorites. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for coming by.